this meeting of the Architectural Design and Planning Commission to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Chant.
Present.
Commissioner Despain. Commissioner Estrada.
Present.
Commissioner McDonald.
Present.
Commissioner Tufts.
Present.
Vice Chair Bartlett.
Present.
And Chairman Carter. Absent. We have a quorum.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public business from the floor. If an individual is unable to stay through the entire meeting due to extenuating circumstances, a total of 10 minutes is provided at this time, during which input may be given regarding agenda items. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Any person who would like to address the Architectural and Design Commission on any agendized item is requested to complete a speaker card for the recording secretary and identify the agenda item you would like to discuss. Each person will be given an opportunity to address the Architectural and Design Commission at the time such item is discussed by the Architectural and Design Commission. Speaker cards available at the entrance of council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Do we have any speakers?
There are no speakers on the
No
thread.
speakers, okay. Moving on to the consent calendar. The approval of minutes from the regular meeting of November 1st, 2018. First item, let's see, may we have a motion, please?
I motion that we approve the minutes from the November meeting.
I'll second. Please vote.
5-0. Motion passes.
The next item is new business, site review number 18-05. Can we hear the staff report, please?
Good evening, Commissioners. The item you have before you this evening is Site Plan Review 1805. The proposed project is a request for the development of 2 attached 7,546 square foot warehouse buildings with new parking lot and landscape improvements. The subject property is on a lot that is 41,040 square feet and is located on the southwest corner of 6th Street East and Avenue L. As I mentioned, the street improvements will also be completed as part of the project. This will take place along, as you can see here, the outline in red, 6th Street East and Avenue L. Here's the site plan that is included with the preliminary landscape. Parking has been included on either side of the building with a total of 12 parking spaces, 7 more than required by code. The applicant has met the landscape requirements, utilizing it in the design as it pertains to buffering and screening from the design guidelines, as well as the design and performance standards from the city zoning code. The applicant has also proposed access into the site off of Avenue L and 6th Street East, having through circulation in front of the building and maintaining the parking areas as well as the trash enclosure to either side. There is a proposed decorative 6-foot block wall with landscape facing both the interior of the site and the public right-of-way directly beside the meandering sidewalk. There is also a pedestrian path that breaks up the wall connecting to the interior of the site. This is a response to the design guidelines specific to the industrial site planning, providing the appropriate setbacks, screening, and landscape to mitigate the effect of industrial land use operation. The floor plan seen here is for the 2 attached warehouses. The anticipated business here is for a proposed marble and granite fabrication warehouse with no retail. And as you can see here, the floor area consists each of approximately 7,113 square feet of work floor space, 316 square feet of office, 108 square feet of break room space, and 110 square feet of janitorial storage and restroom space. The proposed project incorporates architectural elements throughout all elevations to have the desired 360-degree architecture. The applicant has worked with staff since their initial submittal of a preliminary review in July. Some of those changes to the elevations that are now proposed are articulation to the north, street-facing elevation, with emphasis at the building main entrance, breaking up the building facade while using cornices, paint colors, wall heights, trellis features, and tile. This elevation seen here is of the view from the front elevation looking from Avenue L. Overall, the applicant has established a uniform design and materials throughout the development, including the proposed trash enclosure and concrete exterior cement plaster facing wall to Avenue L. The project has been proposed to reflect functional efficiency and quality of appearance. And finally, it would be consistent with the City of Lancaster design guidelines, meeting the goal of enhancing the community's image, pride, and quality of life. In conclusion, staff recommends that the Architectural Design Commission approve Site Plan Review number 1805. This concludes staff's presentation. I am available for any questions you may have, and I have the architect, Mark Vasinski, and the property owner, Peter Biernut, for any questions as well.
Thank you, Mitzi. Do we have any speakers for this item?
There are no speakers on this item.
Commissioners, any questions or comments?
Yes, I have several comments on this. So I'm looking at, when you're saying that they met the requirements for the ground cover and the trees, I'm not sure if that's met for in the parking areas where we're supposed to have one tree every 3 parking spaces, other than that line of pine trees in the very front. So, and then I guess why were pine trees chosen as the, I guess is a better word, as a fence line? I guess for the architect, let me know why that was done. Usually around here we're looking for shade trees. Pine trees are not big shade trees. They're a great barrier, windbreaker. If you can help me better understand this, please.
Would you like to come up, sir?
I'm Mark Wysensky, structural engineer. The reason I used such trees just to provide the blockage of the building from the L Avenue. The chosen trees are going to be quite high, but if the palm tree is desired, we can change. Only the palm tree growing up, right, will block partly the upper part. Otherwise, will be empty. Only will be the trunks of the palm trees.
So I think a lot of things that we're looking at in the architectural design is we're looking for trees that provide shade. A palm tree would not provide shade. A pine tree doesn't provide a lot of shade. It's a great barrier. It's a fantastic tree for that. And then if we're looking to put a barrier up so people don't see this building as they drive by, I don't think that's the intent also. And then the spacing for the shade around the parking for shade trees is not present here. So I'm not sure if you've been able to look at our architectural design guidelines or not.
Yes, we did, and chosen the trees. I used the city guidelines regarding the landscaping. we have some trees around the parking.
I see one on the, one on the south end of the east side of the parking and one on the south end of the west side for parking. There should be a few more in between to provide more shade in the areas to cut down on heat as well as, the sidewalk going across there will never have any shade on it from those pine trees. I guess that's what I'm under the assumption, that's what we're looking for. Architectural design is to have a more comfortable and inviting. This is putting up the pine trees, kind of a barrier, a shield for this building.
I have something to say next. I will say this, Architectural Design Commission, we care about beauty, the beauty of the city of Lancaster, and to have barriers to keep people out is not our way. We don't do that. We want 360 degrees of architectural design, beauty, and we want our community to be provided with shade. It gets very hot out here in this city, and I know I'm not okay with any. I do not approve of these pine trees at all. I think that there should be different trees.
In other words, it was chosen the cedars, right? Cedars Atlantica. Yeah.
Can you repeat that, sir? I didn't understand what you just said.
Cedars,
sorry.
right? Cedars.
Okay. Either way it goes, we don't do barriers here. We want people to see our city. If you're on the freeway and you're driving by, or you're driving in a car, or you're driving on a bike, we don't want the barriers like that. We don't do that here. We want your business to be protected. Granted, we definitely want your business to be protected, but we don't want barriers. We don't want people to feel as though they're being blocked out of, again, the beauty of our city. And if you have barriers of any way, it keeps from us seeing, or anyone else in the city from seeing the beauty of what you're trying to provide here. So I would just like for you to change those trees. This is not appealing.
It's okay.
In my opinion, it's not appealing. So that's all I have to say. We're saying pine, and it's a cedar.
Here. Am I reading these wrong? 'Cause it looks like cedar.
Cedar pine.
Cedar pine, it's not attractive.
Okay.
Well, it's evergreen, right?
And additional things that we've been looking for and been requiring is these glass windows to have a shader over top of them to keep the sun from glaring in on the windows here.
Well,
I mean, and it gives depth to the building. I mean, I see you've got some nice arches. I like the alternating heights. That's great. But this reality, it's a flat face, a flat back, flat sides. Just having some depth and I guess make it stand out and provide a little more, I guess, interest to it. Other than that, it's a flat, fairly flat building. And then having the shaders is, again, as we are looking for trees, is to have the control of the sun going in and heating up the space.
the building is facing north,
North.
right? North, right.
But then it gives that 360 architecture. You've got your east and west sides that would have shaders over it, and then also with the front. Or come up with something that will give it some depth to it. That's what we're looking for, because other than that, it's just a flat building that doesn't
No
have...
dimension.
What's that?
No dimension. like
Yeah,
that.
there's zero
April said.
dimension to it.
I have a question. How many employees do you have in your proposed building here? Sorry?
Up to 10,
10?
yes.
So you have 10 employees and 12 parking places? So do you have vendors that bring things? Do you have customers that come there?
No. Peter Bierman. To answer your question, we would expect to have about 10 people of total on the property at the most, okay? So would that mean with the 12 parking spaces we are not bringing in any kind of customers or anybody to the property. This is not a property that will be doing any kind of retailing, selling, or something. Okay, this is meant for my business to serve as a fabrication and storage facility. I've been in business since 1991, for 21 years, proudly working in Los Angeles County. Currently based off Venice, California, and due to economic changes and trends in real estate, let's say that, I'm forced to move my business, okay? And we have chosen to relocate to city of Lancaster, bringing with us good jobs to the city, okay? And developing a land that right now is an eyesore to the community.
So describe to me,
Developing that
please.
land
I'm sorry.
to something nice and pleasant. So I think we are bringing lots of value to the community in Lancaster by
Thank you.
doing that.
Can you please describe to me your average, the average day? How does your business work? What happens there?
We come to work at 7 a.m. We close at 3:30 p.m. 8-hour work. And during that time, we cut, laminate, shape, and finish stone elements that we put on our own truck, and we take it to the job site for an installation.
Okay. And how many days a week are you open?
5.
Just Monday through Friday?
I'm a normal person. I've grown old in this business. And I've seen many things coming and going through the years, and I've seen the different businesses operate in different way. I'm still here. I'm kind of an old-timer in this kind of industry. And we are well-behaved, well-known, and I think over the humps and good times and bad times, we have managed to stay in business, while success in business is quite hard to accomplish. Okay, so basically, I would like to also throw in a little bit about those trees. The trees that we placed on the front is not because we want to hide our beautiful building. That will cost us tons of money to erect, build, and make it. Not for that reason we want to hide it with the trees. We did whatever we could to adhere to the guidelines that the city provided us with. I'd be more than happy to take away all the trees or plant only 6 or 8 of them or 5, whatever to your liking. You tell me you want a tree that is this type or that type on the list of the city approved trees. We'll plant those, the ones you want. I don't have a problem with that. We did that because we were told that we need to screen the building.
So I have
now-
a question. Is that where your loading area is?
No, the loading area is on the side of the building.
Okay. Because I know the guidelines say any area where you're doing loading is what needs to be screened.
Yeah, that's right.
But you're saying it's on the side?
Yeah, the main loading areas will be from the side. We need kind of for the flow of kind of traffic, we need to have 2 entrances. Okay. That's why because we cannot place entrances in the back, we have only the options to place the entrances on the front. For that, we use this kind of screening thing to screen. If you, as board, would be willing to say, okay, we will be okay if you place this many trees here and this many trees there, on that kind, we'll be more than happy to adhere to that, okay? Now, if we would like to have any kind of awning or something over the windows, we'll be more than happy to do that, okay? Now, I'm not a developer. I'm not a guy that comes in and builds, a zillion units or something. This is something that I'm building for myself. This place where my business will be located, where my name will be on it. Okay? So I'm not doing this because I want to make a quick buck, turn around, and, sell it day after tomorrow to somebody who will do something else. I'm hoping to move into this building quite soon. I have lots of pressure from the landowner and the person that I'm renting from right now, and he wants me to be out by end of last year. Okay? So you guys can imagine what kind of pressure I'm under. So I'm trying to say that we are trying to comply with everything, whatever the board or the guideline is, to include, to be sure that the project is moving along. Okay?
Thank you. We appreciate your flexibility there. Larissa, I think we have a question about the loading area. So it was our understanding that the loading area was supposed to be screened, and the loading area is on the side, and there isn't landscape on the side. Is that correct? Are we reading this right?
I think what we're taking issue with is the screening in the front, and since that's not the service area, and the loading areas are on the side, is that necessary, that buffer in the front?
Yeah, I think initially they had doors that would be able to roll up along the front and the sides. Now if they're limiting it only to the sides according to how they take things out, then it looks like that's the direction they're going in.
Okay, and to clarify, is that you're getting rid of the doors in the front, the roll-up doors?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said for the flow of the things, we need to have two entrances on each
Right.
side. Okay, so that's why we do need those doors on the front.
So you will be doing some loading in the front?
No, actually, we'll be leaving from the shop.
I see.
through that
So
door.
you're driving through
Yeah.
through the inside of the building?
Sometimes, in some situations, we have to be kind of flexible
Right.
to be able to do things in a way. See, because sometimes we deal with a little bit longer units and longer things. We cannot have way of maneuver.
Right,
So
it's
we
too
have
confined.
to be able to go in through one door and get out through the other door. Okay,
Okay.
just basically for that. Okay.
So then that would probably still be considered a service area in the front?
That's correct.
Yeah, the front doors are not like a primary doors. They will be pretty much most of the time closed, but in need, we need to be able to open and,
Right. So there may be instances where you use them?
yeah.
Okay.
And we did make those doors nice and beautiful. Kind of, if you look at the elevations, they
Yeah.
are nice dressed up. They will conform to the building.
It's this right?
Right there.
They're not like a typical, ugly doors.
Yeah, I see that here.
So those are glass on those doors?
Yes, on the top portion is the glass, on the lower portion will be the same color as the bottom tile on the building. So if you look at the building, it's a beautiful building.
The face of it's very nice, believe me, I really like it, just the being flat is the concern.
So-
But if you can put in like you're saying, put on some, I don't know,
Awnings?
awnings, whether
Yeah.
it's metal or something probably something that's more durable than cloth. I
went-
think that would give a lot of depth to it. I think that's what I'm looking for, because it's not when you're driving down, it's just this flat building. Though it's got little bits of architecture on it. I like the arch, I like the three different heights in there, that's great. I like the color scheme. But with the trees there, I'd like to be able to see that building other than have that. If you're thinking that there needs a barrier, now on the east side, as you're talking about a barrier, I don't know if it's as much of a barrier as you would need again, more trees along the east side. That's bare right across your entryway to come in. So, and the west side as well, it just doesn't, if we're looking at putting entryways and where you're loading, if there were, and it doesn't have to be a lot of trees. In the front, it seems, I don't have a spatial relationship between the trees right now, looking at them. Are they every 20 feet, 30 feet?
I think there's 6.
15?
No.
I think they're a lot closer. I want to say there's 6 or 10.
Maybe 15 feet.
I don't want to anyway.
15?
About 15
15 feet, yeah.
I mean, for putting up a barrier with pine trees, that's a great way to do it. I think if you, I think, what is the requirement, 30 or 40 feet? If you eliminated every other one and had a good shade tree there, I think that would pay dividends, it would look better, and people could see your building. You had the awnings out there, it would give it some depth, and that's what
Sure.
we're looking for.
Sure, no problem.
Something like that. And on the sides, the east and the west sides, those are actually relatively open there without any trees. If you could find out how to space a few trees in there, would that, suffice what you're looking for to give a,
Yeah, I guess the only thing I was asking was if those were service areas, and since they are, maybe you could, take some from the front and just spread them out more.
so you're thinking more of the pine trees for the barrier, or?
I wouldn't have a preference,
Okay.
but
I'm thinking more of shade trees, because
Right.
it's pretty open there.
right.
I definitely want more shade trees, definitely.
But I think-
Pine is not, cedar is not, it's just, these aren't gonna work for what we need for our city. And just to, do you want, can I ask a couple questions real quick, Tufts, are you done?
Oh, yes, go.
Okay, I do have a few questions. The 10 people that you are gonna have working for you, do you already have those people picked, or are they gonna be your picks from the city, or are they gonna be from our city? Are they gonna already be brought with you?
Okay. A core of the shop will come with me, and that would be 4 employees, because not everybody wants to relocate. Okay, we will be pursuing employees from the city or from the local area to complete the work crew.
Okay, I have a couple more. Sir, what I was getting from you is that you seem like you weren't particularly happy about having to relocate yourself. How familiar are you with our city of Lancaster? I did feel a little bit disrespected as a commissioner and a member of my city. There's nothing about our city to me that's an eyesore, and if we have desert, that's the way it's supposed to be. And some of us actually like to be able to see mountains and see different stuff and not just buildings all over the place.
Yeah,
Let me
no,
finish. Hold on, let me finish. I'm just kind of curious to know how familiar you are with our city, because it just seems like you're more upset that you had to relocate here. You didn't have a choice. Like you just didn't have a choice. Like, oh, whatever, I'll just go to Lancaster. Is that the case, or
No.
do you have any? Do you care about our city at all? Because I just am not feeling that when you said it's an eyesore. I'm having a problem with that.
Well, that was a matter of speech. Well, I did start to look for the new location for the business, and that was about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago. And I did come to visit many places, not only Lancaster, okay? And I did spend lots of time going around, and my process of, deciding where the place of my, future location will be was based not only on affordability, but also on the place where I felt that I could eventually even, move closer myself. I could, have good workforce, and I could have, a place that it will actually grow and appreciate. And that's why I think it's a good place where, where business could be located, and that's why myself with my son, we've made that decision, okay? My son currently, he lives in the Santa Clarita area, which kind of is that way, and he's kind of thinking also to maybe finding a place closer to the work because of the commute. So that was based on that decision. Our decision was based on the fact that we felt that this is a good place to grow.
Okay.
About the eyesore.
I'm waiting for that answer.
That's right.
Excuse me, do you know we can see Wrightwood from here? The snow, we can see Tehachapi from here, snow.
Yeah, that's right.
We have lakes, there's a bunch of stuff out, there's a bunch of things out here that are beautiful, so be careful with that eyesore thing,
But
because that makes me feel like we're more of a burden. I have no choice but to go to the city of Lancaster.
No,
Just want to make sure I'm clear
God
on that.
forbid. What I was saying about that small piece of land that we purchased. If you go by there right now, there is like a little bit dirt, then pile, and lots of like turned bushes, and there is like a remnant of an old house that is kind of just left it there, and so that's what I was saying. By us going in and cleaning this up and putting this type of building and we're gonna make it beautiful. And right now, when you pass by there, it's not very attractive. That's what I was trying to say. I didn't say about, city, the area, or, the views of the mountain. I've been frequently going through
I couldn't deal with New York, I'll tell you that. All them skyscrapers, I can't do it. I gotta have space. So that's why when you said the word eyesore, it kind of offended. But that's pretty much all I have to say. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, does anyone else have any other questions?
Yeah, I do. I want to propose a compromise on the north elevation. We all touched on it, but this is my one bullet point that I wanted to bring up. I think some of the things that I see that are important to me and to this commission is if you're willing to spend a little bit more on the doors with the glass separations and stuff like that, that hopefully this commission and the planning commission can accept a change to the landscaping structure. I'm not a fan of this for multiple reasons. It blocks our architecture, and it's also, in my opinion, a SEPTED problem, which is crime prevention through environmental design. Putting this barrier here is just asking for opportunity of issues on the building that you don't want as a building owner, and that we don't want as a community. So my proposal is in the same idea as Commissioner Tufts, is that any other tree, preferably a shade tree because of the grass, because of the sidewalk, less frequently located in this area, so that there's a clear line of sight from the road to the front of the building, with those roll-up doors that are, and I do see in some of the elevations that you do have expensive articulated roll-up doors with finishing on them, that those are selected, I'm not saying for the side ones, but I'm saying specifically for this front face, to present the front face as architecturally finished as possible, so that we will all accept a compromise to not have this this barrier of trees. I understand your position. You want to meet our design requirements, and that's kind of what our commission is for, is to determine whether or not you are meeting it or whether we all need to compromise. And so that's why I'm saying a high quality roll-up door at that location, and I would say steel awnings above those doors, and also above the windows like we've asked. To create, what I'm looking at is to create those door types, and I think, April, Commissioner Bartlett, your building, I think do you have the metal awnings over block? Where it's not a roll-up door, but you just have the glass windows, and it has the extended awnings.
I have those over at my place.
So you know what I'm talking about. So with a paneled roll-up door, it would look like one of those configurations, and I would hope that this commission and the planning commission and the city would find that a good compromise. Because for my opinion, I can't accept it this way, because it just doesn't look nice, and I think that I'm sharing your view on that, because you really do. Even for where you would put your business signage and stuff like that, if you did, it just doesn't show here. And then, like I said, for safety reasons, I'm not a fan of the trees for Because when we have patrol go by, we would like them to be able to see to your doors and windows and people and everything like that. And keeping it open is going to prevent any kind of, crime, anyone to be compelled to commit any criminal activity. Not saying that that's an issue there, but the point is to prevent it from ever occurring. And so that's the suggested compromise that I have. Correct. And what Commissioner Bartlett is saying is that there are shrubberies that are less than 3 foot tall that you could put across there that would basically create an initial separation, but not exceed like the 3 foot mark, not exceed the line of sight. And then in that area, like say on 30 feet separations, that you would have a standard shade tree. And I think the cost factor on that would be less than the saturation every 15 feet of these trees. And then obviously at the same time, it would also require higher consideration for a much nicer door at that location, for the roll-up doors there. And I know they vary, but that's my point, is leaning towards the more architecturally finished ones where you're creating a faux facade of a regular storefront look, but still maintaining that roll-up door requirement, especially since you said that the majority of the time that door would be closed. And so I can't speak for the commission, but that's my suggestion on that.
I like
do
that
like
too.
the compromise, if I could say, because from the beginning, I didn't think that this forest of trees was a kind of a great idea. Anyway, so yeah, I do. I concur.
And I forgot, I did want to say initially, thank you very much for choosing Lancaster and the Antelope Valley for locating your business. We really appreciate that.
I'm
So-
looking forward to many years of being.
We look forward to having you. Were you taking notes of the things that Commissioner Chant was, can you read back just, or make sure that they get a copy of what he has put down?
Absolutely. We do a summary in terms of minutes, but we can definitely convey back. I was taking notes, and between Mitzi and I, I'm sure we can convey that back to the applicant.
Perfect. And I know that the glass door, I think the glass roll-ups that you were talking about, can be seen over on Gingham. I think I saw some of those, Gingham, over in the business park. That would be a good reference. I've seen those. They're very nice.
I did go to another couple locations, kind of when we were working on the whole design, and we tried to kind of, go with, some of the teams that were already here, and I'll be more than happy to go and we kind of, get that door right, because that's what we kind of would like to, for this to look like, as a nice, pleasant place, I have to go there to work. I'd rather come to a nice place than.
Yeah, because frankly, sir, I'm sorry. Frankly, we as architectural design commissioners, we really care more about what the outside looks like. Like we have to be concerned with the entire building, of course, but what we see is what the entire city sees, and what we approve is what the city sees. You see what I'm saying? So it's really important to have the architectural and design the way we would prefer it to be, and I think that that aligns with what you want to do anyway. So just making a few changes would be a wonderful thing.
We gladly will do.
And I'm glad you're here. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't here and you were feeling like you were forced to be here. That's why I made the comment I made, so.
Okay. Do we have any other questions for them? No? So, let me see. If there's no further discussions, I would say subject to the changes that we've discussed and recommended, we should have a motion.
I move to approve,
18-05.
18-05, based on the stipulations that I've stated, and also that Tufts and Commissioner Tufts and the rest of the commissioners have verbalized today.
I second that.
Let's vote.
Five zero, motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. By the way, today is my birthday.
Happy birthday. Capricorn, happy birthday.
I spent quite time here in the city by surveying, and it was very hot in LA at the time when I was here. I didn't feel so much heat, but the air is so clean here.
Thank you.
Yes, that's why we like living here. You can breathe, sir.
Thank you.
Going to move on to public business from the floor. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the commission on any subject regarding city business. Under state legislation, no action can be taken on non-agenda items. Members of the public should be aware of this when addressing the commission regarding items not specifically referenced on the agenda. Please complete a speaker card for the recording secretary. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Are there any speakers?
There are no speakers.
Oh, just kidding.
Oh.
Hello, my name is Itasca Dehiney, and I didn't come here, I came to observe, but there were some things that came up during this meeting when you were talking to the applicants, and I was wondering what age will the trees be that are required? Will the constituents of this community have immediate shade, or will they be trees that are slow growing or not provide shade, and we won't be able to look forward to shade for 2 years, 3 years, a year and a half? And the second point that I wanted to make was about the parking spaces. He has just enough parking spaces for the proposed amount of employees that he's going to start his business with. I would hope that this commission would also consider growth of any business that's coming here. Just like businesses are coming here to make money in our community is growing, and the needs for jobs are more prevalent than ever. So just having 10 parking spaces for the exact amount of employees that he'll start his business with, has he considered possible growth to continue contributing to our community where more employees would have an opportunity to park? If he just starts out with 10 without an anticipation of growth, then what happens when he gets busy, which we hope that that's what it is, and there are 5 more employees needed or 10 more employees needed, and then we'll be right back here again, proposing for an addition of parking spaces as opposed to anticipating his growth and success in our community and adding those additional parking spaces initially. And thank you.
I have a question for you. Are you related to this project in any way?
No, I'm not. I'm just a constituent of Lancaster. I've been here since 1986, and after I listened to everything, those are things that I thought about.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Good. All right. We stand adjourned to the regular meeting on Thursday, February 7th, 2019 at 5 p.m. in the Lancaster City Hall Council Chambers.